Well, hello.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome.
We've been expecting you, as they would say.
And I'm glad you're dead on time this evening, too.
So tonight the theme is going to be ghosts, basically. We're going to be talking about real ghosts, strange encounters, strange experiences. So if you're interested in this topic, do please put some comments in right at the beginning so that we've got some stories there lined up and thoughts. But we'll be talking about some of the experiences we've had, what we feel are real encounters with ghosts, don't we, Jane?
Yes, certainly. Especially one that comes to mind, Craig, is when we went on that boat in Hamburg.
We can talk about that, yeah.
Yes.
We're going to say hello to everybody first, though, aren't we? So as people come in, we like to say hello to you all. And Jane's going to ring Piggy Wizzies there. Comment.
Hi, Craig and Jane. Looking forward to this topic.
Oh, that's good. And I hope Piggy Wizzies have got a nice lot of piggy ghosty stories for us there.
You might have ghosty piggy wiggies, Craig.
Things that'll make your tail curl.
Yeah.
And Michael Stevens is saying, I am finally going to make a live chat. Well, let's hope we're not jinxed and it goes wrong. We had a few difficulties tonight earlier. Happy to be here from Utah.
So happy to catch you live, says Jules.
Oh, that's good. So you're all poised, ready to catch us live. We go live occasionally, randomly nowadays too. Actually.
And Craig, I like a man that's poised.
Jackie Martin says we missed her comment, but never mind, Jackie. We saw it there. Beatrice
says Good Friday to both of you from France. I'm getting very impatient. Can't wait.
Oh, so you might have some interesting stories there from France, perhaps. That would be interesting. Anything from the chateaus or famous French ghost stories, perhaps. Things that we don't know about here in the UK and America.
Napoleon might come in, Craig. Who knows?
Yes. I wonder if his ghost's been around. Probably in Versailles, I expect, because he took it over for a while. So we're going to be doing ghost stories tonight, folks. So don't forget, if you've got any ghost stories, do sort of type them in. They'll have to be pretty brief because we've only got a little bit on the screen, but we'll interact with you and hear what stories you have to say, as well as telling a few of our own. So Jackie Martin is saying,
hello, Craig and Jane from Bowling Green, Kentucky, home of the Corvettes, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what the Corvettes are. I suppose
well, it's certainly not
Corvette car.
Not crevettes.
Or is that a football team? Hello from Chicago.
Oh, I'm sure they don't
Kit.
talk like that.
And thanks, Kit, for joining us again, another one of our patrons.
And Andrew, hello from Chichester. I had to put my glasses on.
Chichester Street, near Durham City. Hope you're both well and have a fabulous evening. Indeed, thank you for your support. And if you're just joining us, we're just saying hello to everybody as we're first going live. You've just come on as we've just gone live.
Silver Moon, namaste to Craig and Jane.
Thank you, namaste, obviously from India or
and
interested in India.
blessings to you.
From my heart to your heart, that means.
Yeah.
Sheila, hiya Sheila. It's nice to see you again. We've seen you a lot, Sheila. You've come on Zoom. Always some interesting stuff. Namaste, Craig and Jane. Hello from India.
Yes.
Nice to see you again, Sheila. And have you got any stories from India of ghosts and spooks? I didn't see any ghosts when I was there. Well, there were a few odd things actually.
Right.
Come to
Blanche
think about
says
it.
hello from Florida to us, Craig.
Hi there, Blanche. Nice to see you. And we're going to be doing ghosts and real ghost stories. Let's just chat about ghosts and things
Precious.
like that.
I love that name, Precious. Lovely Baroque jacket, Craig. Yes, you took it off my table this evening and run it up very quickly.
You run it up out of a tablecloth for me, didn't you? Yeah. It's kind of fitting with the scene, actually. I quite like this one. I'm admiring myself in the view screen there. Pat is saying, hi from Boston. Great outfit, Craig. Oh, that's nice. Love your setup and the crumpets. Crumpets? Actually, that's
we don't have common crumpets. These are nice cakes.
Yeah, it's tea and biscuits, really, isn't it? Tea and cake for us tonight. Yes.
Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Is that what she's saying?
Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. She's got a ghost story. She's got a ghost there in your house, haven't you? I can tell. Yes, thanks for joining us, Beatrice. And Teresa.
Hi, Jane and Craig. You're looking so regal this evening. Great to catch up with you live. Now, does she mean you or does she mean me?
Yeah, we could do. We could do a Meghan and Harry, couldn't we? We're all dressed up like this. We can leave England and shock everybody. Fleming Rosenwald. Hello, Craig and Jane from Denmark. Hello there. Quite a few of you from Denmark join us, so it's nice to see you again. Got a few friends in Denmark, actually. A lot of interest in spirituality.
Hello,
there.
Jane and Craig, looking very glamorous this evening from Apple. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yes, I'll have a cup of tea, please. It's going to be very, very awkward to do while we're talking to everybody. And ginger tea, which is much better than ordinary tea, is saying afternoon tea with Craig and Jane. Hi from the USA. Yes, Jane's showing her how to do it properly. You see, you Americans can learn about how you put the milk in first, and then you put the tea in afterwards, and then you spill it all over the place. Nope, and you've got lots of bubbles. And in England, we say if you get bubbles in your tea, it means you've got lots of money coming. So that means we're going to get a lot of new patrons tonight, Jane, which is going to be marvellous. So Margaret Grinnell is saying, good evening to you both and to the headless lady above the fireplace.
Actually, there's a story about that. She's not just any headless lady. Look at her face.
They can't see the face on there. It's just off camera. Her weird and strange face is just off camera. Some of the patrons saw it, though, in a little video we did, yes. Yes, she's a very strange lady. David Dalloway. Hello from David Dalloway from Birmingham, England.
Hello, David. How are you?
And Precious DeVere. I've settled down to watch you both with a lovely cup of tea of chai tea. Yes, I prefer chai. But it's nice to see you guys. We're going to be talking about ghosts tonight. So if you've got any stories, don't forget, we can, we'll be wanting to listen to what you have to say as well. And Diana, I saw you both from telly before. Oh, you saw us on telly. We've been on telly quite a few times, but over many years, kind of intermittently. We had our own show, The Psychic Family. You can also find that on the main page of this channel, actually.
It's on the bio channel.
And don't forget, if you're new to this, do subscribe to the channel. We've got loads and loads of stuff there, lots of back catalogue of our work, both on telly and all these, of course. So go and have a look through the back catalogue sometime when you're bored. Lauren Brooke is saying, my dad was a security guard for a haunted hall. Showed me strange pictures of imprint of a woman's face like a watermark. He heard her footsteps when checking stables.
Well, actually, that is true, because when I first moved into the house we're in now, there was no carpets on the stairs, and I heard footprints very loud going up the stairs, because nobody there. And because then I discovered...
What, at home?
Yes, and I discovered it was on a ley line, and also going right back, the very old buildings there, like a convent, and that, and it's mentioned in the Doomsday book where we live that they used to have witches in the woods.
I thought tonight, when we came in here, actually, it was a bit of a weirdy sort of feeling.
Things
I know we were going
to
and we came in and nobody can get into this building. We're the only ones with keys to it, and things had moved. We couldn't find half the stuff, and we knew, and Domenico's still working in the background there, we both knew where things were. So somebody had either been in here, which is actually highly unlikely, or probably even more unlikely, something spooky happened tonight.
You feel the energy changing.
There is a sort of energy change to this room as we've been doing it, and you start doing the same type of spiritual work in the same place. Things do start to get a little bit more sensitive to the energy. But that lady there was talking about, was it horses she was talking about?
No, she was talking about stables.
Yeah.
And her father was a security guard or something in that building, and he looked at a watermark on a painting of a lady, and he could obviously see things, and he heard footsteps.
I was always quite interested.
He was looking at the residue on the painting.
I was always quite interested in the idea of ghosts of animals. That lady said about our TV thing. I remember I did a TV one on American Channel again. It was one that, what was it, Animal Extra or Animal X or something. It was a popular program going back some while, and they had us going to hunt the last bear in England. Do you remember me? No, there was supposed to be a story of a ghost of a bear that haunted this place, and although the place was in absolute ruins, we had two historians there to argue who had conflicting views about what happened in the place. And when we went on the hunt for the last bear, as it were, we were telling the history of the place. So I often think that the history of the ghosts are often very connected with this idea of a history of a building, because we were picking up on the history
Yes.
the place as opposed to the
You
ghost
pick up a
itself.
history of this building.
Yeah, so this is what I say. Old places like this are great for picking up energies and things like that. There's lots embedded in the walls of these places. Lauren, but that's the haunted hole, yeah.
Interesting.
So Lady Penelope, this is very English sounding, isn't it? Particularly with a name like me, Parker, around driving around. I have seen a governess in black about 1880 in my flat opposite the church in St Mary's Street. St Mary's Street, where? There's a St Mary's Street, it's got St Mary's Church in Southampton if you're local.
Yeah.
Actually, that's St Mary's Street down, that's St Mary's in Southampton. The church there was supposed to be haunted. It was my nan used to go in there.
No, it's interesting because I'm wondering if she's seen, or she's a governess, if she had long keys at the side, because that's what I'm picking up on this vibration, in a taffeta black and wandering up and down. If she's seen it, there must be a reason why she's seen this.
You're saying that's what you think she saw.
Yes.
So perhaps you can confirm that, Lady Penelope, if that was if Jane what she saw.
Do you drink your tea? Craig?
Yes, I'll have some in a moment. I'm too busy talking.
What's new?
Yeah, so Loz is saying, I work in a hospital that was previously a workhouse, and so many things happened all the time. I don't like being there on my own.
Well, it's interesting. What hospital was that? Because a lot of the hospitals, going back, were asylums.
Yeah, well, you worked at Cold East Hospital in Southampton, didn't you? The big old
in
deserted.
Parkgate.
Yeah, in Parkgate.
Yeah, and I lived in an old mansion.
And that
the
wasn't
mansion.
that supposed, you saw a ghost there. I remember you
When
telling
I
me
was a
about
nurse,
that.
I lived in a mansion, and one night I woke up, and at the end of the bed, I had a really old-fashioned nurse in uniform holding up bandages. And because I got up, put my hand, and went through.
What did she look like? You saw her physically stood there.
From the First World War, yes.
And
solid
did she look
form.
as solid as normal
Yes,
person?
solid, and just smiled at me. And then I mentioned it to the charge nurse. He said, "Oh, there's meant to be a grey lady that walks around the building." Now, when I saw this person, because we had slash windows that you slide down, suddenly the window went up. Once psychokinesis had it, and a gush of wind came in, and I could feel a ghostly chill, and that.
The other people saw stuff there.
Yes. Going walking down the stairs.
Because I heard a lot of stories about that place, and it's now it's still there, I think, but derelict.
Derelict.
They're reconverting it, aren't they?
They sold the land to have houses built on it. I know it stood empty, and then somebody bought it to convert it into a hotel. And I think that place was cursed because everybody that stayed in there didn't stay in those rooms very long.
Yeah, wasn't there someone there called Montezuma or something? What was the name?
Montefiore.
Montefiore. I thought Montezuma.
Leave your toilet habits at home, Craig.
He used to eat the children, didn't he? Yeah. Montefiore, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was a Jewish man that bought that property, and he'd done a lot of good work. And there's actually a glass-stained window in a university because he left a lot of money.
Yeah.
He was Jewish. Because it would be like a country estate in Parkland.
Because I remember we went up there, didn't we, when it was derelict, and because the Cy Barber organisation were talking about buying it and having it as a hospital here in the UK. It didn't actually happen in the end, but it was quite a spooky place.
Very spooky.
I remember talking to, one of the most spooky things I ever had was not in an asylum, but with someone who was being treated by a psychiatrist.
Oh yeah, about the soldiers under the bed.
No, not that one. No, this was when I went. It was up around Salisbury way. We went somewhere up near Salisbury, and the psychiatrist had. I think she'd had a reading with me somewhere in the past, but she was concerned that one of her patients was seeing ghosts all the time, and she wanted to establish if there was anything there, or whether this was something psychological. And she knew I knew a little bit about psychology and things as well. So she asked me along just to see if I could. It would be an interesting experiment to see if I gave her a reading there in her house, if she would, if I could pick anything up and find out if it was real or not. And I mentioned this once before, but we went to the house, and the psychiatrist was talking, and I said, well, it's probably psychological, quite honestly. I'm thinking it could be, but we'll see. You know, if she's got psychiatric problems, it could be. When she opened the front door, you know, like you get dry ice in a theatre and things, all the floor was covered in what I would call dry ice, and as she opened the door, all this steam-like stuff came out. She hadn't had the kettle on. She obviously didn't have dry ice because there was no machines there or anything. And you should see the face of the psychiatrist. She absolutely gobsmacked, and me as well, actually. It was just, we step in and then, like, instantly, it just disappeared, just like that. Now, steam or dry ice, I think, wouldn't just disappear like that.
It has been known when people have done spirit photography and they've taken photos of graveyards at time like people do, and there's like what you're talking about, it's like smoke coming out, but like what I call a very thin film, like you're talking like dry ice coming up in the air and forming like a figurine.
But this was everywhere, and this was not, we didn't have any film crews with us or anything. This was just, you know, two ordinary people going along to investigate this. I gave her a reading, and I felt that I told her I saw gypsies all around the place. I thought this is something to do with gypsies. And then we looked at the records. The psychiatrist wanted to check all this out. She looked at the public records, and apparently that house had been built on the site of what was a gypsy graveyard.
Oh, well, there you go.
I always thought the gypsies burned their dead, actually, but apparently it was a graveyard for gypsies.
They bury them, and the people, quite religious people actually, true Romanis, and they tend the graves and everything. But
That's
I'm
nice.
wondering if that wasn't a grave of a child.
No, that place, it was gypsies, and she checked it out. There was this strange gypsy man. And then we did a thing where I connected with him, and we actually got rid of him. It's a longer story, that. But no, that was one of the most bizarre ones of all, because it was so, you could see it with your own eyes. All of us could see it with our own eyes.
I can remember my brother, one of my brothers, Timothy, he was told not to go over this particular fort, because then they used to have like these pellet guns and different things when, I suppose,
It's
about
what,
12.
a fort?
A fort, you know, a soldier's fort.
Mhm.
And this was at Fareham. And then he suddenly saw this
That would
dark
be Fort
figure,
Brockenhurst then.
a dark figure come towards him, and he fired this pellet gun like that, thinking it was somebody or a night watchman. I suppose he had fear. It went straight through it, and it still came towards him and floated off the ground. I suppose it must be about 6 foot in the air, and come towards him. And he runs so much to get out of there and would never go in that place again.
Yeah, I know both your brothers have talked about weird stuff they see. They always get terrified by it, don't
Well, and it's so funny, really, because Patrick, my youngest brother, he was sat in our sitting room, and one night he saw a figure go through the glass door. It frightened him so much, he went to church for 2 to 3 weeks.
He went to church for 3 weeks afterwards, didn't he? Because he was so terrified about what he saw. And, you know,
He thought it
and we
was
got young kids at home who say, "Oh no, he didn't see anything."
he thought it was the Death Reaper coming for him, I think.
Yeah, they both saw some pretty weird stuff, didn't they?
Mm.
Do a trap RE ley lines one day. That's not a bad idea, Paul. Actually, quite an interesting topic, actually. And actually, a lot of the haunted houses are often on what they call a ley line node. I think a node is where 2 ley lines cross. And the one I was talking about on the way up here,
Manchester.
no, the famous one. Oh,
Stonehenge? Stonehenge? We talked about Stonehenge?
I was talking about on the way up. It was on a ley line, on nodes. And a lot of the stories of haunted houses are often on ley lines when you check them out. You check out famous places that have been haunted, and
Well,
you'll
our
find they're
house
on
is
ley
haunted,
lines.
but I welcome it.
Yeah, I've never checked if our house is. Our house is actually on the ley line because there's a ley line that runs actually out the window there. You can see Winchester Hill on the other side of the building. And Winchester Hill is an old place that Alistair Crowley, I went up there with Domenico actually a while back, and we did a little video about it. You can find it on the site if you look. But that's a ley line that runs right up through the middle of England, right up through Stonehenge and things. So we here are on pretty strong point of a ley line, because we're almost bang on Winchester Hill. It's like I say, it's where Alistair Crowley used to go up there and do a lot of his rites. And there's an old Mizmaz maze up there and things. Yeah, but he was he had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, he's drugs.
Yeah.
Beatrice B, if a person encountered a ghost, what's this person should do? Run or make contact by talk? Well, I feel you've got to be fearless, Beatrice. Have no fear and be fearless with these things. Because I don't know why, but people seem to think if they make contact with the spirit world or ghosts, it's going to harm them. Not necessary.
Yeah, I think with ghosts, you see, I always think about what are ghosts. You see, the spirits, we're all spirits and we go to the spirit world. So are the spirits that have not been able to cross over, as it were, are the spirits that haven't gone to the spirit world? I mean, that could be one thing. But like that woman that I talked about with the gypsies and things, and we had another one with that boat, I remember, where the woman might have had a few psychological problems. I wonder whether our minds are also capable of projecting stuff. That not only the person that is a bit disturbed projects, but also other people see it as well, like a collective clairvoyance, perhaps.
Well, psychokinesis is possible, Craig, moving things and objects. So you've got to know what's reality and what's an illusion, really. And what you're seeing is believing, isn't it? Everybody experiences different things with ghosts, don't they?
Yeah.
People can frighten themselves going on a ghost hunt because, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I want to be so brave and see this. And suddenly you put them in a room with darkness, no sound, and you might be weird and whispering. They suddenly freak out.
Yeah, I mean,
they?
a lot of stuff with ghosts is obviously people get carried away with their fantasies, and I've seen it happen too. But something you talk about a dark room. I mean, when I first run my circle, I decided to run it in pitch black. And I remember when my Auntie Marion came along to it as well. And we had two things happen there often that was really weird. One was we would sit there and you'd hear, it was a quiet place, but you'd hear somebody walk through the room, through the circle. And we're all sat in pitch black. We'd hear them walk through the room. Yeah. And then at one point, we even had the kettle boil on its own. But the thing was, it wasn't plugged in. It wasn't. The plug wasn't even in, and the kettle was red hot. We could hear the kettle boiling, but nobody else had access to the place to come in and done that or anything.
I
really
can remember
odd.
my grandmother told me a story. She was at service, and she could hear a baby crying, and she went into this room, beautiful room. She was a lady's maid. There was this crib rocking backwards and forwards, and because she was quite worried hearing a baby crying.
That's real typical ghost story stuff.
No. She looked in the crib and there was absolutely nothing there. She walked away and a door slammed, and once again we had a psychic breeze and she heard the baby's cry louder. Suddenly she thought, am I going mad? Went in the room again, and there was like an old Victorian fireplace like this, and she thought, why am I getting this? And it turned out that a child had got burnt in this fireplace. A very young child.
I heard about that. The thrown in the fire, wasn't it? The child that was
Absolutely.
thrown in the fire. Where was that happen?
Oh, I can't remember. She told me. I was so young then. And, you know, and it turned out the woman had been traumatised through the birth and that. Didn't really want this child. Really, they would have called it, I suppose they would say women were mad then. Not like understanding now. And threw this child in a
I remember
fire.
vaguely about that, actually. The baby thrown on the fire. Yeah, well, I think I must have spoken to that woman myself.
No, it's my grandmother. You haven't
Oh, it's your
spoken.
no, okay,
You haven't
that's of
spoken
course
to my
not.
grandmother.
Except
You never
when
knew
she's
her.
in spirit. Yeah, okay. I remember you telling me about it. That's what it is. I
Do you
remember
have
you
a
telling
cake?
me. That, no, not at the moment. I don't think, Jane. They look very
You wait
nice.
when he comes off air.
You'll hear me munching with the microphone otherwise.
Silver Moon.
Silver Moon saying Newstead Abbey. Well, I don't know where that is, but obviously near Newstead, wherever that is, has got a certain energy that is scary and intense. Lord Byron lived there in Nottingham.
Well, he gets around, doesn't he?
Well, Lord Byron was into spooky stuff, wasn't it? Wasn't he? It was
Lord
a
Byron.
lot of the poets were. Mary Shelley, who was of course married to Shelley the poet. The poets must have all been interested in it.
Byron, didn't he die in Rome, where where the Spanish steps
He went
were?
to Rome a lot, didn't
And
he? I don't know.
he travelled, and he died very young, didn't he?
He did. I think he
very
died
young.
of something like
Yeah,
consumption
he
or
died
something,
alone
didn't
in
he?
a room, just by the Spanish steps
Well,
in
yes,
Rome.
he was on the Spanish steps. Yes, I remember. You're very
Gee,
knowledgeable. Yes, I
I'm a
remember
very
that.
knowledgeable woman.
Yeah, I remember that when we were in Rome. But yeah, I think all the poets were very interested. W.B. Yeats was very interested in the spirit world.
Yeah.
He was very
William
interested in the
Blake.
thoughts. They believed they belonged to the Golden Dawn.
Yeah. And William Blake?
William Blake was kind of independent of everybody, actually. I don't think he belonged to any groups with poets, but he certainly believed in the spirit world.
Well,
And when he
was quite
died, he
artistic.
said he saw all the spirits around him. He had all the, there was quite
Angels.
a lot written about that, actually. So he was a very, very interesting man,
Right,
Blake.
Apple. What spooky places are demolished? Do the ghosts inhabit new buildings on the same site? It depends. They've probably got their energies still attached, like Netley Abbey, Craig, like they belong to the monks.
Or like that story I just told about that lady with the psychiatrist. That was a graveyard that had been swept away. And this was a normal modern building.
Visitations.
Yeah, it was a normal modern building. And yet we found that, and people talk about in America about Indian graveyards and things, where because that's sacred sites that houses have been built on. So it might not be anything to do with the buildings.
And another thing, years and years ago, I'm talking about an old hospital, they used to put patients that had no relatives and things in unmarked graves. And then they demolished the hospital and suddenly they built all these houses, and somebody was walking through the woods and they found all different numbers. They used to only give them numbers and crosses.
Well, that was the psychiatric ward you're talking about with Noel, because people don't know where Noel is.
Noel, yes, that's right. And by the woods they had these unmarked graves and they just had a cross with a number and that. Now, when a person goes around there, it seems to be they have nothing but bad luck.
Yeah. Strangely enough, actually talking about that, I was watching on the Southampton Facebook pages about the history of Southampton, and they've got the Richard Parker.
I knew you were going to say
story there, and I don't know if I've told this in video a couple of times, and me and Domenico again went down to Southampton to Pear Tree Churchyard and filmed the grave and talked to some people there. But one of my relatives, going back, my granddad's cousin, was eaten by his shipmates on a boat called the Mignonette. And the whole story is very similar to The Life of Pi. In fact, the film The Life of Pi, I think, was based on it, because there's actually a reference there to the Mignonette. And his ghost seems to haunt people, because Edgar Allan Poe wrote a story that was absolutely similar, absolutely identical to the story of what happened to Richard Parker, how he was killed by his shipmates. He was only the cabin boy, and they drank his blood and ate him, or drank the blood mainly because they were dying of thirst. And that was all went to, it's still studied in law to this day, because it went to Plymouth Assizes, and they, Huddleston, the judge, ruled on it. And it's still, you know, should people kill someone to save two others? It's still considered in law. But the weird thing with it is that his story keeps coming up, and it keeps bringing these strange synchronicities. And Edgar Allan Poe wrote about it in 1850, way before the story happened. So he, in Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, a book, and he's told the story exactly. I mean, Edgar Allan Poe, we could do a whole story, we could do a whole thing on him sometime perhaps. But he was like, he foresaw future. His stories foresaw the future, and he foretold about our family in detail.
Enough, that cabin boy, Richard Parker, you look very much like him.
I do a bit,
because
we found a photograph.
You do.
Yeah, we were able to get a photograph of him. And Arthur Koestler, the famous paranormal investigator and writer, who wrote a lot about coincidence, and wrote the book that wrote Root of Coincidences, wrote all about it. My cousin Nigel wrote to the Sunday Times. Times published the story with Koestler. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story altogether.
Tracy,
going off a bit, perhaps.
Tracy says, "Hi, I've had a few experiences over the years from seeing and feeling the presence of spirits. Always feel humble." Well, that's nice, Tracy, that you're not afraid of the spirit world. A lot of people are, because they seem to think from some reason or another it's going to harm you. Nothing can harm you, and you have non-attachment to it. It's the living we have to worry about.
Yeah, I think you are safe. I mean, my friend Vi Kipling always used to say, two spirits can't inhabit the same body. She might be wrong, because if you look at the state of Eve and things like that. But I think that I think you're safe when you're dealing with spiritual work. I mean, me and Jana, we've been into places all the time that have been very weird places sometimes. And I think if you've got the right heart, if you're not sort of mixed up, if you're not suffering from some form of mental problem, and you go in as a normal person or mediumistically, you're protected. Like I would say, darkness cannot penetrate light. You know, so if you've got a light, if your energy is light, full of light energy, positive energy, you're not going to get taken over or possessed or anything like that people worry about. So Tracy Allsop saying, I've had a few experiences over the years from seeing and feeling the presence of spirits. Always felt humble afterwards.
You said that.
Did you say that?
Yes,
Oh, I read it a
did,
second. I
Greg.
didn't listen.
Be humble to me.
But it's true, though. It is a bit of a humbling experience, isn't it, really? When you think, because it teaches you the reality of these things, when you really discover something for yourself. Do you want me to read it?
Certainly.
Karina's saying, have you heard of... that's why you want me to read it. Icor Xavier. The Brazilian medium.
Yes, I have,
Oh, well, I
actually.
think we have, yes.
Yeah, we
He
have.
had no school and sold a lot of books and gave all the money to the poor people. He said that his guide was telling stuff to write, spirits or ghost.
Wasn't he that one that had lots of facelifts?
No, that's the other one. That's the weirdo one, the astrologer one. I've forgotten his name now too.
But I have heard
But
of
no,
this
he
one.
was a very famous. I believe he was a very famous proper Brazilian trance medium, because in Brazil, here in the UK and also in America, they have spiritualism. But there in Brazil, they have spiritism, which is based around the French guy Allan Kardec.
Yes.
Remember, we saw a movie about him too, didn't we, as
Yeah.
well? But he wrote
Victorian
the Medium's
times.
book, I think it was, and the Spirit book or something.
Karmic.
Very interesting man.
Karmic.
And a lot of the stuff that goes on there in Brazil is really, really interesting, because it's kind of a bit of a blend, isn't it, of partly a modern thought, but also really voodoo-y type of thought,
Yeah,
the
that's
old
right.
traditional thoughts of the pre-Indian,
Agility
conquest.
bits. Where have you been, agility bits? My late husband used to see ghosts as if they were real people, but he insisted they didn't exist. I tend to feel a change in the atmosphere, and sometimes the room feels, well, this is perfectly right, because you feel the room cold, and that you do get what I call psychic breezes. It can come cold and then it can come warm vibration around you, so you are sensing that. That's absolutely 100% right.
Yeah, and I remember when we were, again, going back to my circle, because the circle, we had some really amazing stuff. We sat for 3, 4, 5 years at that circle. And at the end, when it was getting really, really deep, that sometimes when a spirit would come through, the whole room would suddenly, and really suddenly, become freezing cold. Other times it would come really hot. And it was definitely a sign, I think, when a spirit was communicating. It's like we were all using our collective energy together to do these seances, and it was amazing, really, how you get so many physical changes that everybody would feel simultaneously, and that's the important thing. Everybody felt it at the same time.
Right, Kit. Can old jewellery, clothing and furniture bring in ghosts to the home? Well, it's a bit psychometry, really, isn't it?
Oh no, actually, I know a lot of people think that if you bring a dead person's clothes into your house,
It's
you'll
meant-
bring the spirit of that
Well,
person.
a lot of Satagurus will say you mustn't wear dead people's clothes.
Yeah, a lot of in
'cause it
India they
brings a
believe you
lot
must
of
never wear a dead person's clothes.
misfortune. It's like
Yeah.
you must never wear a dead person's shoes.
Yeah, because
Because you
you're
cannot put-
inviting.
You cannot put your life and your energy in another person's shoes.
Yeah, I can understand this as a superstition, but I think maybe the energy of it too.
That's right.
Because the energy of these things, that's not too good to be carrying. I'm sitting in a dead person's chair. I know that much, but that's all right with me. Dark seance room.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So I think a dark seance room is quite fun. I like it. I mean, a lot of the mediums used to work in pitch black. The old physical mediums would work in pitch black, and then you'd get this what you call physical mediumship, in which an ectoplasm, you've seen it in Ghostbusters and things, but actually is really such a thing as ectoplasm. I've seen it a little bit in circles when I've had my circle again, and people have said they used to see it open my face sometimes when we did mediumistic links. But that is in a deep sort of trance-like, on the edge of trance-like
Listen,
mediumship.
You don't have
In
to.
pitch black.
You don't have to do seances in dark rooms. Years ago, they used to have a red light or a blue light, and you can catch ghosts and you can catch apports and all different things through green lighting.
Or you can have, some
But
people use
if you
blue,
do,
some
I
people
mean,
use red.
a lot of them say, oh, you'll get burnt in the solar plexus here, you've got to take your jewellery off. Because we had one occasion to go to a physical circle, and there's quite a lot of people there, and they took all the jewellery off of everybody that went in there, and you don't have to take your jewellery off, it's the medium that has to take the jewellery
you
off.
see, we set our circle up in pitch black sometimes, but the problem is with a pitch black environment is it's so conducive for cheating. And this is also went on with the physical mediumship, because, you know, something like physical mediumship is so, you know, amazing and rare that, you know, obviously the skeptical people are going to challenge it, like Houdini did and others, you know, and quite rightly so. You should, you know, extraordinary things require extraordinary proof, and whatever they say, and they're right to that extent. It does. I've seen it, but that's just my word about that. But the problem is, we saw, didn't we? We saw somebody that, frankly, was absolutely cheating, because I worked out how they did it. They had a room, it was all pitch black, and we had about, how many people do you think was in that room?
About 50 people.
And they're all paying, how much were they paying each? I think
Quite
it was
a
paying
lot
about
of
£100
money.
each or something.
And
Everybody was
what
paying.
I found distressing, that somebody misled people that had lost children, and
There was a family there, wasn't there?
yeah,
And he must
and I
have
was
paid
getting very, very angry.
£600.
And this particular person, I knew for a fact, had a black boiler suit on, and they had what they call trumpets flying around the room, and they're like dunces caps, and they're painted a luminous paint. And I don't know why they always have Louis Armstrong.
That was another one.
Yeah, no, listen, Craig,
Yeah.
to me. They have Louis Armstrong, or they have the Queen, I Want to Break Free, and they're dancing, all people going, oh, and I thought, hey, I'm not going with this. And they made everybody hold hands. You had to tuck your feet right under, and then suddenly this medium that came out of a tied chair would speak in a very Victorian voice like this and that. And a naughty part of me wanted to trip him up.
yeah.
And
I
that.
know what you. Well, I worked out what was going on. That was just, that guy was one guy we saw who was a bit nutty, frankly.
I'm not talking about that
But
one.
the other ones where we went, where they were really milking in the money, really made me very, very angry.
And me.
Because what they, right at the end, just when everybody has to be stripped of all metal, so that basically you couldn't take any phones in or anything that could prove that cheating's going on. And then he's right at the very end, his friend, he says, oh, some of my circle have joined us. Isn't that marvellous? 4 of my circle friends are joining us for tonight. And he mixes everybody up, but he sits all the 4 circle people next to each other. Then everybody has to hold hands so that nobody can cheat and stand up. But of course, if you've got 4 people together and you've got 4 accomplices together, 2 at the end can be holding hands with people. The ones in the middle can just get up and be doing everything. You only need a pair of X-ray goggles and, you know, the nighttime military goggles, and you can see everything you're doing. Go around, touch people, blow on people's faces, carry a luminous trumpet around, like another famous medium did, actually, who got caught out in the end. It made me very cross when that all happened as well, who we can't, I'm not going to name any of these people. But, you know, the skeptics will do that for us. But, you know, but it spoils things, because there is real stuff out there. But
Now,
maybe it's just not for cameras.
This
Maybe
is very
it's just not for
interesting,
other
Craig.
people.
Agility bit says, could you have something in the room tonight in an obvious place and see if it's been moved the next time you go in there? It'd be great. I am, because I'm going to leave all these, of course I'm going to wash them up, but leave all these cups and saucers, and it'd be interesting to see if the spirit world have moved them or done something with them, because I can definitely feel something in this room.
Well, it's a good excuse not to clean up. But
No,
what we should do,
that's
Jan, is
your excuse.
have a live camera on something.
Well,
I mean,
we
when
will.
we get this, we're going to have a live camera later on
Yeah, but I am going
in
to
here
do that.
permanently.
Yeah.
And if things do start to happen, then you'll be able to watch it on the live camera. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of, might be long, boring hours
And
of
would
watching.
any of you really be interested in a ghost hunt? Let us know.
Well, we're going to do some ghost hunts, aren't we?
Yeah.
And and also, guests, I'm eating these things now. Can't talk.
Delicious.
We'd like to have some guests here in Winchester as well. So those of you that live close to us in Winchester, you've got interesting stories, if you've something interesting to share with us, we're going to have some guests. So we might have a few well-known guests in time as well. We've been putting a few feelers out for that. So we're just beginning to get set up properly, but that's something we're hoping to do for you soon. And just like to say thanks to everybody again, all the patrons out there, because you've been helping make all this possible. And if you'd like to become a patron, do please have a look in the description below on YouTube, and you can click through to our patron pages. And if you're a patron, you can make a small donation, which helps keep all this going, helps me buy all these beautiful golden. I bought this at my own money, but all the stuff that's around us, all the set, is being on the patron, thanks to the patrons. So, and we'll also put a few extras in the patron site too. So we get a few behind the scenes things sometimes, and even bits and pieces when we're away and doing stuff with the family and things. We'll even put private stuff in there for you. And also we have a regular Zoom meeting, and there's a full moon readings there at the moment too, where I do readings for patrons on every full moon.
Yeah, and later on I will give a person, if you join as a patron, I'll give a free reading too.
Well, you can do one of the readings on the Zoom too then, Jane, because I'm going to be doing
I
this.
would like to meet them in person.
Oh, face-to-face one.
Face to face.
But that would have to be in Winchester. Or not near Winchester we live.
It can be in Winchester or it can be in our home.
Okay, let's have another look. Well, we've got Nana again. Oh, thanks, Nana. You've come on a few times before. The Old Dolphin Hotel in Southampton was very haunted. I never understood exactly why people wanted to stay there. Now, the Dolphin, I've been in the Dolphin. My sister got married in the Dolphin. I don't know the stories of the Dolphin. It was well known. Wasn't it the Dolphin? That was the Dolphin.
No.
I'm muddling them up.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not.
Sorry if I interrupt the live, but that light just went Dolphin on by itself.
Which light?
This one.
The one that is on the chandelier.
Is it?
Yes.
So we're kind of inviting.
We're inviting them.
That's got no. The batteries were taken out.
The batteries
Not
are.
the chandelier lights, the light that is on pointing at the chandelier.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
There's
weird.
a light that's
We've had
just
some
flicked
weird
on and
stuff.
off.
Yeah.
There is something in
We
this
have
room.
had some weird stuff. It's because of the theme we've chosen.
Yeah, there is a gentleman walking around this building with a top hat on and long towels.
Yeah, there's definitely something old. I don't know, something that goes back to the earlier
You
times
can
of this
join
place.
us for afternoon
Well,
tea.
come on then, come on, show us a sign. Show us a sign. Maybe something that's visually you can do something. Lift that teapot up, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do get this. It's often particularly when you start talking about these sort of things with friends and clients and things.
Yeah.
It attracts it. Yeah.
Yeah, we will be doing a bit of ghost hunt. We will be doing that, and we'll have all the ghost hunting equipment too.
In fact, we've actually personally bought a new people carrier this week, haven't we? So we can sort of go out as a group, perhaps with the whole family or friends or people who are interested, and we can do some ghost hunts in some of the famous places and not so well known places.
And in the future, I'm
area.
also thinking of buying a double-decker bus, Craig, to do a really big ghost hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be quite fun, wouldn't we? We have to do that live if we possible, but then of course that's going to create a few technical issues.
People want ghost hunts.
So you like the idea of ghost hunts? Yeah, a lot of the people that follow the channel do like it. If you want us to do ghost hunts, put it in the comments now or after we've gone live, and you know, give us some suggestions. What was that?
I heard a scream. Did you hear that?
It was Did you hear that? Did you heard it on the microphone, on the headphones there, Dominica?
Yes.
Oh, no.
There's something
I heard that.
happening around here.
Because you wouldn't hear it here because we're up so high.
Like a screech or a scream, like high pitched.
It
High
might be.
pitch.
Perhaps when they play it back later, you might hear it again.
I don't think it was a seagull.
We might hear it.
You wouldn't
We'll
have a
play it back
seagull in
later.
Winchester.
No, it wasn't. It was
Not
like a
in the
child's
sea.
voice. Oh, right, we've definitely got things happening. We're going to have to do a proper ghost hunt, Jane, and we'll have to get cameras everywhere so we can catch things, and microphones everywhere so we can catch things.
And it's a proven fact that ghosts do like red and attracted to red.
And black. And also, white noise is another thing. We maybe should experiment with that a bit,
Yeah.
because I worked on that program called White Noise, didn't I? I went out and they asked me to go as a consultant.
Yeah, it's very good.
And I met a lot of the people that were doing that in Spain and places like that, the well-known people that did the white noise experiments. And we got some very, very odd stuff from that. Very odd.
There's definitely something in this room.
And that might be an interest. Get an old maybe an old radio or something we can use, an old one that picks up shortwave, and see if we can pick up something on that.
You know, like that. What you're talking about? Those Bakelite radios?
Yeah, like the old-fashioned ones.
Yeah, I know.
And you used to be able to pick up radio signals with them, but they wouldn't be on that
Is there anybody
anymore,
there?
because it will be gone. So Matt, and now I know Matt's very interested in this because I've seen him on Facebook talking about it. Went to Bury Pomeroy
He's always on
Castle.
about that.
Where the hell's that then? Bury, I don't know where it is. You can Google it, guys. And saw a ghost or spirit at the driveway at 1:45 a.m. for only a few seconds before it slowly faded away, but it appeared as a bright, white, misty figure. That sounds interesting. In fact, we're going to Tintagel Castle, which is the old castle that's supposed to be the birthplace of King Arthur. It would be quite interesting if we took some filming down there. You never know, we might pick something up. You know, that was supposed. I think that's got ghosts
vision cameras
associated with it. We're going down to Cornwall doing a little break, aren't we? So that would be quite interesting. We'll take some cameras down with us, perhaps. And if we pick anything up, we'll share it with you. We might not get anything, but see what happens. Be fun. Won't be able to do that live though, will we? Lorraine Pippolo, can you go ghost hunting at Hampton Court, Craig and Jane?
Oh,
I'm
that's
going there this
interesting.
weekend.
Now, we were talking about Hampton Court on the way here.
The problem is you have to pay
Lots of money.
Lots of money. Anything that's to do with English heritage or National Trust, as soon as they know you're filming, even for a YouTube channel or even for a non-profit, they start charging you huge amounts of money to do these things, as they know there's money in it because of all the TV programs that used to do ghost hunting. So I think it's unlikely. But Hampton Court was really good, wasn't it? We went there.
Yeah, but I was saying to Craig on the way here that somebody caught a ghost on camera, on security cameras in the daytime. It looked like a hooded figure, long black. You know that program?
It was
Spring?
famous thing actually.
And
very
the doors
famous.
swung backwards
It was the
and
security
forwards.
cameras that caught
Yeah,
it.
and they went to investigate. There was nobody there, and they actually saw it, and its face changed.
Yeah, it's a famous piece of ghost footage actually, that
Is
one,
it?
Jane. Yeah, the Daily Mail did a lot about it. It was all in the main news. But Hampton Court, my goodness. We went to also Havre Castle, didn't we? There's a little video on our, if you look at our stuff too, of stuff we did at Havre Castle some time
That's
ago.
interesting.
It's only a look around sort of thing and talk about it. But that too had some really weird energy, because that's where Anne Boleyn came from, didn't she?
Yes,
She was
yeah.
born, that's where her family home was, I believe.
And I think we had flashes of blood and things.
Yeah,
as
all
well.
sorts of weird stuff.
And you
It's a
could
really
actually
interesting place.
Smell blood. Because
Yeah.
when we go in places and sense it, we pick up that vibration, and you have flashes of like a scene on a TV screen in your mind. What happened?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, when we go to places like Caroline's saying there, you know, we'd love you to go to some places and pick up on how they died, you know. And you do pick up interesting evidence in these places, not just from the idea of spirits, but also from the very walls of a building, you know. You start to feel the energy of it. I worked a lot with archaeologists and also museum curators who've handed me material and asked me to do what we call psychometry on it and talk about it. And they've given me stuff, sometimes things that have no historic interest to them, and I've said nothing, there's nothing on that. And then other times they hand you something and you can pick up and get flashes of the whole history of things. And it's often interesting because sometimes it's a bit controversial, because you might get two archaeologists that have different views about what happened, and you're picking up something and it's confirming or denying what they believe. And yeah, it's really, I love doing all that. Psychic, archaeological
Yeah,
sort of.
you've been great at that.
I'd love to do a program about
I've got
that,
quite a high energy and very, like we were both sort of, not monkey mind, but we got both quite high energy, and we sense things immediately, don't we?
Highly sensitive minds, I think you could say.
Yeah, and creative minds.
Yeah, and it all comes as our brains go perhaps faster than they should do sometimes.
Good, Craig and Jane, this is Guy. What are your thoughts on alleged possessions by spirit in the Catholic Church? Has Exeter any thoughts? Well, it's good for business, isn't it, in the Catholic Church? I mean, just think the merchandise you can sell. And I'm surprised they don't sell hoodies, come and be an exercise tonight, showing.
I think a lot of religions play on fear, and that's one of the biggest incomes, fear. But I think the idea, see, you get things, you obviously get cases that are psychological split personality things, or more than split personality, multiple personalities. Very common type of thing, you know, in psychiatric circles they know about. That the 9 faces or 7 faces of Eve was a particularly vivid one, but there was many cases like that.
It's
and
just
also
touching my arm, Craig. So he just squeezed me. You like it, do you?
And so some of these things could be misunderstandings of what we would be psychiatric problems, you know, brain damage, you know, and things like that.
Mind you, there are people.
But it doesn't mean to say that, you know, possession couldn't be possible.
There are people from past lives that bring things in this life, and their memories and the serotonin in the brain, and it's showing them things, and they do sense things. People play on fear.
I enjoyed the spiritualist book, 20 Years Among the Dead, which I thought was an absolutely brilliant title. I can't remember the author's name. But his wife used to channel spirits, possession, and take on the spirit from people that were possessed. And then he would give her all these electric shocks to push the spirit back into the spirit world.
That is a nagging husband.
So I think a little bit of electrical gadgetry.
No, I don't think that's true.
Could go a long way.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, W something his name was. I've forgotten
Mind you,
it now.
years ago, laughing aside, in Victorian times, if a woman did nag her husband, they used to put them in asylums.
Yeah.
The poor woman didn't stand a chance.
They were very sensible in those days.
No, they weren't sensible. They were just very selfish men because they had mistresses.
May I know if there's any difference between a spirit and a ghost? And this is all about definitions, really. I would say that I would call a spirit is what we all have. We are all spirits. And a ghost, I think with a ghost you've got to start thinking, is it a spirit communicating, or is there some other thing there as well? For example, could it be something like a mental projection from somebody, right? So that would not necessarily be a spirit, that would be like a thought form. Or could it also be something that's like a recording in an energy field of the building or the place? So that, I would say, goes into the realm of ghosts. So I suppose a spirit is a conscious entity. A ghost, could be argued, is not conscious. It is purely a form of some sort. Like, for example, some say that when we go to the spirit world, we have multiple layers of our energy field. So we have different etheric fields. It's like layers of an onion, our physical body, our spiritual body. And that sometimes when we go to the spirit, the actual causal energy goes to the spirit, but what connected the body to the spirit stays here as sort of like a shell. So sometimes ghosts could be like just a shell of part of the aura that's left behind of the person that died, and may look like them, but is not actually the person. It's almost like a dead spirit. That's a thought, anyway. But there's loads of theories about this and loads of different arguments and ideas. So, you know, there's no final answer to it.
Angela says, can you have hoodie merchandise, please? We were talking about this yesterday.
I put it on the site. Actually, there is I put merchandise up on the site.
Have you?
Yeah, I should be live, but it's not. Don't know if it's
How
gone
about
live.
nice key rings of our photographs?
Well, at the moment we've got it's a standard thing, so I can't design what's what, but it's basically the logo at the moment. But I thought we could, you know, we could do different. You can get lovely mugs, and you can get hoodies, and you can get
like mugs.
all in. You know, so they're on there. It should be on the YouTube below the videos, and if it's not there at the moment, you'll see them later on. There's another service that YouTube offer that once you get a certain number of subscribers, you can do that. Remember to subscribe, folks. Don't forget to hit the bell, because if you subscribe, you'll be able to not only watch this one and get notifications of it, but you can also get the occasional ones where we just suddenly decide just to do something, you know. So you'll see that there's been quite a few, like all the business with Biden and everything, and Afghanistan. I did a few little videos like that. Very popular, apparently. It looks like we got lots of hits on those ones. But some of the topical ones that I do just from time to time with some predictions of what's happening. And we're going to get Jane doing a few random ones as well, at all times of day and night. But if you subscribe, then you're going to catch them. And they'll be live like this, so you can interact. They won't be long ones like this, but you'll get a chance to ask questions. So you can, if you've got a question on your mind and you see us go live, you might be able to jump in at any time of day and night to ask us questions. So, and thanks for becoming patrons, guys, because that's what makes this all work. And this place is paid for by patrons now, and we hope to get more and more and move it forward. You know, and Jane and I, we've been doing our spiritual work for free, like we did the theatre and things a little while back, and all the money, all the proceeds for that just goes into this fund to help this all go forward. Obviously, we make our money from other things as well, private sittings and things, But the theatres and the public work has been helping support this as well. But your help, if you do a little bit, it makes it so much easier, and it don't cost a lot, but if a lot of people give a little, we've got an ocean.
I love this one. Follow Jane on Instagram. And I will reply to all of you as well.
Yeah. And of course, we've got our Facebook page as well and our Twitter pages as well. So, last questions for tonight, guys. Nice topic, though, isn't it?
Yes, it
In a
is.
way, I think
Definitely is somebody here, Craig.
there is a feeling, actually, I'm
Yeah.
feeling genuinely, and we're not saying that just 'cause
Lovely
cameras are on us.
feeling.
Yeah, nothing too bad,
There's nothing
but there's
bad.
like a presence.
Nice
It's got us like
feeling.
you invite it in a way.
Yes.
Is a ghost because the living person has had a traumatic end?
Not necessary.
Well, Lisa's argument, and the argument of people that say that, is that some people, they have a traumatic ending to their life and they don't go to the spirit world. For example, they might not realise they're dead.
Well, they might
So they
be.
carry
are you
on
trying
here.
to say they're trapped in between the two
This
worlds?
is the thought, earthbound spirits, trapped spirits, stuck on this plane because they can't get to the spirit world. And if that happens, and there's been a whole thing in spiritualism for like rescue mediums, they call themselves, who help those souls move to the next plane.
You've got to go towards the light.
So you connect, it's the circles that would connect with those people and ask them to go towards the light, like you say. So yes, I think I would say
Shelley. Hi, always watching you, first ever live stream. I've managed to love your videos. Thank you. That's
that. Oh,
nice.
thanks, Shelley, and thanks for. I don't know where you're from, but you might have got up late or early in order to catch us. And I know a lot of people, particularly those of you in Australia, have been really good to get up crack of dawn. But I try to do some at different times.
Kieran
for
says,
you.
thanks for answering, Craig and Jane. Thank you, Kieran.
Yeah, it's always good, and thank you for coming, guys.
Angela,
and
I
helping
think
us
Jane
with
would
this.
do a great design for a hoodie. I don't like my common, aren't they common
I
mugs?
do like mugs. I've actually got my mug hidden away here. You've got yours, and I've actually got a mug
And
of
Lady
tea I like
Jane
hidden away.
likes a cup and saucer, Craig. Not any cup and saucer, a
Weird.
Wedgwood cup and saucer.
Mugs will win out. Coffee with Craig. You're like a king and queen in your final finery tonight. So yes, it's a bit regal, isn't it? Yeah. It's always fun to wear different things, isn't it? Please do a live video. You visit Prince Diana's statue. We wouldn't be able to. I don't think you'll be able to do it live from there because you've got to have. We haven't got enough. We haven't got 5G here. We need that, unfortunately. But that, in order to have that, we've all got to be bow to Bill Gates
She's
or whatever.
welcome to come here from the other side. They're enjoying
We'll have to
us.
get. If anybody out there knew Diana personally and properly, we could do a reading with you, and we could try to see if we can connect with Diana, like we did on the Spirit of Diana program.
Yeah.
So I know that all types of people watch this show, and if anybody has had, very close connections with someone famous, or if you're someone famous and like to come on it, I'm sure our viewers would love to do this, and you can check out what we've done with other famous people on the TV stuff we've done, which is all on this channel. And come here to Winchester, not far down the road to the station, and we can have you on the show if you're open to that.
You could get the butler to meet them, Craig.
Yeah. Yes. I do past life regressions, so I found it very fascinating lives. Past life regression would be something good too, actually. It'd be quite nice to do a past life regression on here, wouldn't it, actually? I mean,
Well, you've got to have fact. You can't have fantasy.
no, that's the problem.
You've got to have proof, evidential proof.
I used to
documents.
hypnotise people when I was in my teens at school.
I think
But
Craig, you hypnotised me. That's how you ended up with me.
Yeah, maybe. I got very interested in hypnotism and regression when I was about 14 years old.
Right.
Of course, I've never been trained in it, so I wouldn't be
Smokey,
able to
Tommy.
do that, really.
I would subscribe if I was able to interact with a host.
What, you mean on Patreon subscribe? Or you can subscribe just by clicking the button on here on YouTube. But if you become a patron, you do get up to a certain amount of interaction with us, because I answer your questions in the comments always on the Patreon site, on the public comments. Lady Penhenry, thanks for the discussion. Toodles, friends.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo, toodle pip, old chap.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend. Yes, we're going to have a good weekend. We'll be off somewhere, off down
We'll
to
all be
Cork.
tickety-boo.
Yes. Thank you. Loving the outfits. Will you be doing rods and seance stuff soon?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do. We've still got a long way to do. We've just got this first part set up. We've got new cameras today. You might notice that there was slightly better quality for the difference between each camera, because we've got 3 cameras working on us at the same, so we can get all exactly the same colouring. So yeah, and next step, yeah, we hope to be getting our other sets ready for doing all sorts of stuff. Thank you for tonight's show. Brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed that,
Yeah,
Precious
thank you,
DeVere.
Precious. Isn't that a beautiful name, Precious?
Island, has Boo sensed or seen a ghost or spirit?
Well, he's named after a ghost. Boo!
Yeah.
That's why he's
I mean,
white.
all the animals we've had a lot of pets in our time, and all of them have always known when you're doing mediumship. I mean, Gizzy used to sit outside the door, didn't he?
If he thought I went on too
if
long.
well, yeah, I think he was sometimes pestering for his food, but he knew if someone was distressed.
Yang was the best
And
cat.
even the dog, William, he knew a bit about it too, didn't he? Matt, what's the most haunted place in Winchester?
Watch this space and we'll let you know.
The Eclipse Inn is supposed to be one of the most haunted. That's
Well,
sort of
there's lots of
famous, but we'd
there's
have
lot
to
of
ask
haunted
if we could
places.
get permission to
Thomas
somewhere like that.
Beckett's Abbey, and there's the Round Table.
Yeah.
There's lots. And
Winchester Hill, of course, is another. It's very
yeah.
haunted because that's where, again, I said about Crowley, which is in viewing distance of
well,
this.
there's lots of interesting
We could perhaps do that. Would be a
places.
good place to go Halloween.
I'm not going up Alistair Crowley's
You don't
hill.
like the idea of the steps.
It's not. I don't like the idea of steps. It's a waste of time.
Domenico didn't either. It was a hell of a climb.
No, we don't want
At
to do
night.
that.
Okay. We'll be doing some stuff, though, somewhere along the line, definitely. Matt Kay, St Paul's Hospital, Winchester, was our nurse there. Okay. Yeah. There's lots of good stuff around, though, all around this area, all in,
Yes,
they're in
we
the
are
south
going to
of
do
England
something
and
for
Hampshire.
Halloween, aren't we, Craig?
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. We can't make our promises yet because, we've got to
Early
plan
days.
everything. But, yeah, it's best to plan things and then tell people about it rather than plan it on air.
Right.
I'm always late to the party or not at the party on the best topics. Boo, smiling. Have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for
you
joining
too.
us, Nita. Yeah, thanks you all. And thank you, Sheila, again. Thank you, Craig and Jane, for your fun and laughter. I'm with the Teacup Brigade, Jane.
Yeah, good girl, good girl.
I'm going to ban her from Patreon. Great topic, says Patricia. Thank you. Yeah, so good. And if you've got any interesting ones, put some comments later on after we've gone live. Put your comments of what topics you'd like us to cover.
Right,
So I'm
have
always
you had
looking for
messages
ideas.
from Paula Yates? She loved both. Yes, I have actually. Paula has reached me in my subconscious mind in dreams. And Bob Geldof wrote me a letter, which I still got, and said, I'm sure that Paula would reach out to you, Jane.
Funny enough, that's broke my dream because I was thinking about Paula Yates when I woke up this morning in the big
you told
breakfast.
Me it was,
and I had
you told
we were
me
in
it was a violet shirt.
Yeah, and that it was all part of the same story.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me
Yeah,
Paula Yates.
that was weird. I just broke my dream. Yeah, fancy that. Apple Summerby saying, thank you both for answering my questions. Nice weekend. Indeed. Thanks, Jane Hamilton Parker and Greg Hamilton Parker.
And thank you, Matt Kay.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yes, thank you for coming along. I know you've been following us for many years, actually, Matt. It's nice of you. Thank you for a very interesting evening, Craig and Jane. Always enjoyable listening to you both.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you, Lorraine.
So don't forget to follow, subscribe, like it, and all the rest of it that you do.
Agility Bits, thank you for a great programme. Have a lovely weekend.
Yes, we're coming down your neck of the woods because I believe you're down in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Paul's saying a great topic tonight. So put your ideas for topics in the comments now or afterwards, after we've gone live. Let's come back to again and stick a comment of what you think we should be covering in future weeks.
Yeah. Catherine, Jane and Craig, thank you for all you're doing. Stay safe. All of you, you stay safe too.
Yeah. Well, we do enjoy what we're doing. It's been a great life doing
Angela
this type of
likes
work,
the
actually.
setting. You'll be moving soon, won't you, Angela? They like the setting.
Yeah, good. It's nice.
Well, what have we here? Sally.
Sally, have a nice weekend. Thank you. See you, Sally. Thank you. Sure, your mum could be one of those that's moving stuff around in this place. Who knows? Thank you for tonight and have a nice weekend, says Fleming. Thank you for another wonderful live. Hope you have a lovely weekend.
That's nice, isn't it?
So thank you to everybody. So it's nice for you all to keep coming along to the show and supporting it. Don't forget to share it on Facebook if you're on Facebook. You've watched it now. You can share it now. Others will be able to see after we've gone live. And keep helping us move it forward, and have a look at that Patreon, and maybe go and have a look at our website at psychics.co.uk, where there's lots more stuff about our work, what we've done through our lives, and the TV stuff and things like that. So I guess we're going to be saying goodbye now.
Yeah, and we will be in touch with you.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us again. We'll see you all soon. See you next Friday, 7 o'clock, same time, on a Friday.
Love from the heart.
See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Would you like to know more about the paranormal world? Craig Hamilton Parker's books are now available on Amazon. Explore the future. Discover what happens after death. Unlock the secrets of your dreams. Learn to develop your own psychic skills.